Party people, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. So before I start the actual process video for my first layout with the watch story kit, I know a few of you had said that you were interested in sort of like Photoshop for memory keepers, like tips and things. So I promised that if I did any sort of like hybrid work in advance before I started the actual assembling of the layout, I'd come on and just show you really quickly how to do like little things that might help your memory keeping go a little bit further. So I made these two 3x8 cards for my layout today that if you come here from Instagram, you've already seen the pictures. If not, you'll see the layout as I put it together. But I'm using the watch story kit, and I'm going to show you these two 3x8 cards took me 30 seconds to make. So this part of the tutorial is going to take 5 seconds. Here's what you do. So here is a 3x4 card. You take the marquee tool and you just select in this area. So all I'm doing is selecting the gray. I am not recoloring anything. I liked the color of this and I just wanted this big stamped image. And because this is a 3x4 card, it is the perfect width of the 3x8 card that I'm creating. You right click on it, you hit layer via copy. And now I'm selecting this layer and I'm going to hit Command C, Control C, whatever, if you're working on a PC. And then you come over to your new canvas. This is a 3x8 canvas, Command V, and you paste it. So you see this now is pasted. I'm going to move it all the way up. And then I'm going to just keep pasting it. So I'm just hitting Control V over and over and over. And I'm just making sure every time I paste it that they're touching. And the good thing about Photoshop is it gives you these cool guides. So it's showing me exactly where things go. And you'll see that, hold on, I need one more layer. Nope, here it is. So you'll see that this is too big to fit the whole thing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in and select all of these. Command E to make it a new layer, and then move it up a little bit so that the top and the bottom are not exactly on the canvas, and then select it to my background and merge it down into one layer. And here's what I have. So now I have my 3x8 card that I printed out. And then the other one, same technique, really easy. So I'm coming back to my card, and then I'm going to move this over here so I'm right next to each other. So I'm not doing a bunch of like finding stuff. So here's my blank 3x8. I took the card, so I selected it, copied it, pasted it directly on my canvas. And this is really easy because this is on a white canvas, so we don't even have to do a ton of work. You're just going to go in with the marquee tool, same thing, select it. This time you're going to hit Command, a layer via cut, because you want to cut that layer down. So what it did is it separated, you see it's now separated these two layers, and all I did was drag this to the very bottom, making sure that that purple line is still selected so I'm still in the grid, and then I select these two together and merge it down, and now I have a 3x8 canvas. So you just hit your type tool and you go in and you like select your text box and you go in and you add la 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 and you fill up your box with journaling. And so that is how I got from this card to not to that one, to this one, which is where I did my journaling. And so really easy, really quick techniques to help your digital products go further and to help you reshape and resize things. So from here, we're going to go to the process. All right, party people, what is up? Let's get started with the process. So here I'm showing you all my stuff printed and ready. And this is the beauty of hybrid, you guys, that you can do stuff on your computer and that when it's time to assemble the page, there's not much work to do. I am 100% a hybrid storyteller, unless it's like 12x12s. I still, don't get me wrong, I still love my paper and my scrapbooking, but when it comes to storytelling like this, I'm 100% a hybrid storyteller. Now, it is still stamp week, even though it is the first session of Story Kit Crush for the watch story kit. We are still stamping. So I decided what would be fun for my first project, since it is stamp week, is to pull all of the kind of techniques we talked about this week onto a single layout. So here I'm combining numbers and like pattern making and prompting. And one of my favorite ways to make a pattern is to stick as many things on my acrylic block as humanly possible. So for the story today, we're talking about how Noah is 8 months old. My sister does this super cute thing where she takes a picture of Noah every month on the 29th because he was born on the 29th. of him wearing the socks that say how old he is, and he has a piece of paper that says how old he is, and she has this like mat that she puts on the bed, and she highlights the number, and she sends them to me every month, and I haven't scrapbooked them yet, and now that I'm doing 8 months, I kind of want to go back and do every month up until then, just so I can document how much Noah has changed, because y'all, babies grow fast. Like, it is wild how fast babies grow and change. And so I went through my stash and I pulled out like every number set I had that were smaller numbers, because I wanted to play with scale and play with font. And this is one of my favorite ways for making a pattern. Again, is to throw everything on your stamp block, and then you see I am literally just rotating my block as I stamp it down on my paper. So I have some stamps that are larger than others, some that are filled in, some that are more open, some that are more like a sans serif font, some that are kind of handwritten. I'm literally keeping it really loose and easy with this, and also I'm varying the placement of it down on my paper. And you see I'm using my stamper secret weapon. Y'all, I don't go anywhere without this, especially when I'm stamping a pattern like this. It just makes it super easy to stamp on a stamp platform. And again, I'm just moving my stamp block around as I stamp, so that the reason I wanted to move my stamp block around was because I had that one big 8 that was kind of an outline, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't like next to each other every time. And then the next thing I did was, since there were a few gaps in my pattern, I took the smallest 8, put it on a small acrylic block, and then I went in and just filled in places with that small 8. Now, I probably could have varied what like 8 I used, but this was just a really easy way of getting it done and filling in the gaps, because this is a background. This is not like the forefront of my piece. So I just wanted to get this filled in and make my own background paper. And I'm using Ali Edwards Otter Rock, which is a gray ink, and I love the way this came out. Now, I was really inspired to use grays because of the colors in the watch story kit. The watch kit has a lot of like peach and red, but also has like fun navies and grays. And for this photo, since the Noah's wearing like nothing, he's in a diaper, I figured it'd be pretty easy to use blue. And now I decide to pull, so we've already done numbers and a background. So I decided to pull out an alpha stamp. This is a Feed Your Craft Apollo Alpha, and it is like, oh, I love alpha stamps so much, you guys, but this is a really good one. And so I decided to stamp my title on vellum, and I pulled my title from the stamp set. There's a stamp set that says heart and then this view in it, and it's supposed to say love this view. And here is where I realized that I did not leave myself enough space to stamp out my whole title. So I get all the way to the end of it, and I realize I don't have enough space. So I like freak out a little bit, I sigh, and then I pull out another piece of vellum and I start all the way over. And I'm stamping on my vellum using archival ink, because vellum is a slick surface. Like, vellum is plastic, it's not paper. So because it is a slick surface, you want to make sure that you use an ink that is not going to smudge. I have read that some people have some good success with stamping with Ali's inks. You just have to make sure you leave the ink time to dry. But y'all, Tashiana's impatient and has other things to do, so I like to stamp with Ranger archival inks or StazOn. Archival ink comes in like a million colors, so you're not limited to only stamping in black if you choose to stamp with archival ink on vellum. I've shown you guys my mini cubes with my archival inks a bunch of times, and I think I now have almost 24 or close to 24 archival inks in a variety of colors. So you can easily get like colored stamping on vellum. I just chose to go with black because I was layering it. I didn't want to introduce too many colors into the spread, just because I'm trying to keep it pretty neutral. So we'll see how this goes. So here I realized that I still don't have enough space for my title. Like, the W still hangs off a little bit. And instead of giving up on this entire idea, I decide to get crafty. So you see that a little bit of the W hangs off, but you can still see what the title is. So I decide to pull out my paper trimmer and just trim off a little bit of the beginning and trim off some of that L, because then it looks like I intentionally left off some of the stamping on both sides, and not that I just ran out of space, which is what really happened. Like, I really ran out of space. Sometimes this happens. Like, stamping, I say this all the time, stamping is an imperfect art, especially the way I do it. And I also say that there are no mistakes in stamping. There's just room for creative opportunity. So I could have freaked out about about like my title not working 2 times in a row, but I decided to lop off a little bit off the other end. And then since this is vellum, I just chose to attach it with 2 staples from my tiny attacher. I didn't want to risk like using vellum tape and then having it show through behind my title, because that would make me upset. So I stapled that on, and that is my title card of this page done. And now for prompts, so you see, we've already done backgrounds, we've already done numbers, and we've already done alphabets. For prompts, since I typed up my journaling, I just decided to add a few stamps to my photo. So I added that big stamp that says watching, and then there's another stamp that says loved, and I decided to do one of my favorite things, which is generational stamping. So you stamp, and then you stamp without re-inking your stamp, and it gives you like a faded appearance every time you stamp over and over. So I decided to do that. And I'm just using my little acrylic block for this. I love that tiny circle. Like, I don't know why, like, I don't know how I got by without a small acrylic block before this, but I reach for that tiny acrylic block all the time. It is like a go-to. I love it so much. And so now that I have my stamping, I pull back all my bits and pieces together, and I'm checking it. And when I do a 6x8 spread, I do this a lot. I'm constantly pulling my bits and pieces together so I can see how things look. So here's that big picture of my yummy nephew Noah. I love that boy. He's so cute. And then I'm trying to decide if I want to do my journaling on the side with the photo, or on the side with the pockets, or on the side with the photo. And I decided to put my journaling face up, and then do the totally love this on the side with the photo. And to carry over the vellum with the stamping, I pull out another bit of vellum, and I pull out my stamper secret weapon one more time, and my stamp off paper. This is how I clean my stamps immediately before I go back and clean with my Misty, is I just stamp off. And I decided to stamp love this view because that was my title. And I use a passport size paper punch that I got from Michael's to punch out the square. And I just, again, staple that on to my gray piece. Again, we're trying to repeat elements and tie both sides of the page together. So I think by having that vellum with the stapling on that gray piece, it helps to tie the whole spread together. And after that, I just add some chipboard to my page. No, I do a little bit more stamping. I want to make sure I want to stamp on the photo of Noah again. And there's this stamp that says, I've got my eye on you, which is what I use to do my journaling. So I just do, again, some generational stamping on my photo of the big baby. He's my favorite. And I stamp that a few times on the bottom. And then I add some chipboard. So since the rest of this process is kind of self-explanatory, I'm going to read you what I wrote to Noah. So the thing says, I've got my eye on you. And I wrote, happy 8 months, big boy. It seems like you came into this world kicking and screaming only yesterday, and now look at you. I already found the first thing I spelled wrong. I spell something wrong every time. Now look at you, trying to walk, causing as much chaos as possible, standing on your own, smiling and flashing those dimples at everyone, giggling like you've just heard the biggest joke, ignoring us when you're off and up to mischief, giving us the biggest hugs and the sloppiest kisses, learning how to swim, and generally charming the pants off of anyone you come in contact with. Noah, you are my very favorite of boys, and I love to watch you grow. I've got my eye on you. You're doing it way too fast, and some days I want to scream, slow down, you're not ready. But I also know there's no delaying progress, and you are full of surprises for all of us. I know that I am super fortunate that you are in my life, and I hope that you will never doubt how much I love you and how much you mean to me. I've got my eye on you, darling boy, and I love you so much. And that's my journaling about my crazy nephew who was up to no good. My sister sent me a video of Noah the other day where he's trying to walk. Noah is not even crawling. Like, he skipped crawling and just decided that crawling is beneath him and he's going to walk at 8 months old. So, guys, pray for us. Pray for my sister, because the second this baby takes off, our lives are going to be over. So I pull out my stash of chipboard because I just want to embellish this page a bit more, and I'm trying to figure out how. So I grab that semicircle, and it's from the Lens Story Kit, and it just says, I see. And then I grab a little banner that says, I think it says Best Time, and it's from the Time Story Kit. And I just picked that one because it was the right colors and it was the right shape. And then I start putting things into my pockets and just checking that things look the way that they're supposed to, that things feel good. And that's pretty much it for this layout. I loved playing with the watch story kit. So when I first got Watch, I was just like, oh, so this is just going to be about watching TV, isn't it? Or whatever. And then I finally decided to pull this out and start telling stories. And when I made a list of the stories that I'm telling for Story Kit Crush, literally only one layout was about what I'm watching on TV. There are so many things we watch. Like, we watch time go by. We watch people. We watch things change. And I think Allie's kits are great for giving us the lens and what's the word? For giving us like the lens and the tools to look at the things in our life differently in ways that we would not have originally. So I'm so excited to share layouts with you in the Watch Story Kit. I think this one's going to be really good and it's going to be really fun. Also, I already saw Krystal's project, and you guys, Krystal's project is dope. So I really hope after you're finished with this, you go watch her video, because also I'm showing you Noah's baby album. I started a baby album for him. But I was saying, I think you're really going to like her project. So I'm going to stop talking now because the rest of the video is going to pick back up, and I'm kind of just going to do my sign off and show you what the project looks like in the book. So thanks so much for watching, you guys. All right, crafty friends, so here is my first spread for the Watch Story Kit. I love how this came out. I loved pulling all the techniques we use in Stamp Week, my background, alpha stamps, numbers, prompts. I loved putting it all in this spread, and I hope you enjoyed seeing Yummy Yummy Noah in action. He is my favorite boy. So don't forget to go to Krystal's video to see what she's up to, and come back every Friday for Story Kit Crush as we keep killing the Watch Kit. So I hope you enjoyed this layout. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're so inclined. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and for spending this time. Until next time, keep it crafty and have the best day, and I will see you around. Bye!